So a common mistake you may be making is when you go into your cuts, you don't really put much thought into if it makes sense at that time or not. So today I want to talk about how to know when the best and worst times is for you to cut, because if you just go into it blindly with no thought, you're just setting yourself up to fail. So there's several things to consider, including time of the year, your own personal schedule, things like that. However, to me, the biggest mistake you may be making is going into a cut because you're panicking about weight gain, or you have some sort of event coming up, maybe a wedding or a reunion or a big trip, whatever it may be. And this is especially true if your metabolism's tanked from all kinds of yo-yo dieting and you've never given your body time to recover, because it's just probably not gonna work. It's only gonna continue the yo-yo dieting that's got you so stuck and make things worse. So if you are panicking about things and feeling like you need to go on a cut now because you don't like the way things are, make sure you have an honest assessment. Are you ready to take this on? What does your life look like? When's the last time you dieted? And do you realistically think that you're gonna be able to stick with things and see results? In fact, diving hard into some sort of crash diet, especially going into a vacation like you probably have done in the past, but what have you noticed after the vacation was done? Typically, you end up even bigger than when you started, right? Because what you do is you crash your metabolism, you go to your vacation where you're gonna eat lots of food and drink lots of drinks and just have fun like you should, but you're doing so from a slow metabolism, and you probably overdo it even more than you normally would because your hunger hormones are jacked up from the dieting, you're ravenously hungry, and you just go crazy and undo all your hard work and gain even more and continue that pattern. So I actually personally like to reverse diet into my vacations, and if I do plan on cutting, then I'll do it after the vacation once I've had my fun, knowing that anything that I gained during that time is going to come off with my cut anyways, and that way I make sure I'm in a good place. And I can say this now, I've been doing this for years and I'm in a good place with body image and not getting caught up and always trying to be my leanest. And that's an advantage for me, and it's something I hope you get to at some point as well, because it really doesn't matter what you look like when you're on that vacation. Nobody else is gonna care. Even if you lose 5 or 10 pounds, it's not gonna be noticeable to anybody else. And it's just this trap that you set yourself up for, and it's crushing your long-term goals. That's not to say you can't cut for a vacation, but you're gonna wanna start it early enough so you have time to reverse diet out, get calories back up, get back into a better spot first, and then go into your vacation versus dieting hard into it. Now, along the same lines, one of the worst times of year for most people to cut is during the holiday season. I mean, this is just a challenging time. There's so many good foods around. There's a lot of gatherings, all these holiday parties and get-togethers where there's gonna be lots of food, alcohol, and you just want to enjoy that time, and trying to cut through that can be a nightmare. It doesn't mean it can't be done. If you don't care about that stuff, then great, you can go ahead and do it. But if you know that's a time of year you love to enjoy, you're really setting yourself up to have a hard time by cutting through that. Even if you want to look better because you got family members coming or whatever else, you want to let that go. And honestly, as this video comes out now, it's either the end of August or early September, depending on what time I get this editing done. This is a good time to start a reverse. Make sure you start getting your calories up, get your hunger signals into a good place, get your metabolism ramped up, so when the holiday season gets here, you're in a phenomenal place to have much more food, your body can handle it well, you won't feel the need to go crazy because you're not craving everything. And honestly, for a lot of people, myself definitely included, the best time to cut is often the very beginning of a new year after the holiday season's done. I know that can kind of sound a little cliche because it sounds more like a New Year's resolution, and we all know how well those typically work. Almost nobody succeeds at them. But you have to understand there's a huge difference between reverse dieting now all the way through the holidays, putting yourself in a good spot hormonally, metabolically, building some muscle, and then going into a cut during a time when things have now settled down. If you're looking to diet for the summer like a lot of people do, you have plenty of time to do that and reverse diet to go into the summer in a good place. I'll touch more on that in a minute, but this is planned in advance. And it's like, why not use the holidays to your advantage for your long-term goals versus what you probably have always done in the past, and that is stay low calories. Holiday season comes up, screw it, I don't care anymore, eat everything in sight, gain 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 pounds over that time, and then quick panic, your metabolism hasn't recovered, and it ends up being a horrible process. You get frustrated, and this pattern continues year after year after year, recycling the same weight, if not getting bigger each and every year. Now, coming back to the summer, honestly, for most people, I would put this a close second behind the holidays as the worst time to try to cut. And hey, I get it, with the summer weather, or it's hotter, you're gonna be wearing less clothes most likely, more likely to go to the beach and be in swimwear. And it's a time where your body's gonna be on display a little bit more. Now, I'm not saying you have to have a nicer body to wear a bikini. I love this new thing that's been going around where it says to have a bikini body, you get in the bikini and then you go to the beach, regardless of how you look. I love that because, again, nobody cares, and don't let that stop you from living your life. However, that doesn't mean we shouldn't have body composition goals and try to look better. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you also have to understand during the summer, this is when you like to go out with friends and go to barbecues and have drinks at the beach and whatever it may be, where usually that means a lot more calories and harder to stick to a diet. And a problem you may have been making in the past is starting your summer shred way too late, so there's not enough time to A, get yourself to where you want to be by the time the summer gets there, and then B, leaving enough time to reverse diet out and get your calories back up and your hormones back into a good place, so when you get to the summer, you're in a better spot and have that extra balance. And I've talked so much about how the early stages of the reverse, the diet after the diet, is the hardest part by far, and if you do it too late, now you're going to want to have all this extra food and flexibility, and you're going to have a much harder time sticking with things, and you can regain that weight so fast. So give yourself plenty of time. Don't wait until April or May to start your summer cut. Do it early. Do it in January so you have plenty of time. Things don't usually go as fast as you want them to. Usually it takes about double, if not longer, as long as you think it should take, and that gives you time to get through the cut, get calories back up, get into a good spot, and then enjoy the summer. Now, besides just the time of the year, and keep in mind too, this is what I see in general as the most difficult times for most people. Everyone's different. You're going to have different times of the year that are more difficult for you, and that might not be the holidays. That might not be the summer. Maybe it's the spring. Maybe it's the fall. Maybe there's certain months. Pay attention to your normal life and be honest with yourself about when is the best and worst times to do it. And also look at the rest of your life. A cut is never going to be an easy thing, but you don't want to make it more challenging than it has to be. And if you're jumping into a cut during a time where things are just hectic, your work is going to be crazy, home life is all over the place, and you're going to be stressed out and pulled in all different types of directions, trying to add a calorie deficit and extra cardio and all this extra time and effort, you're really making things a lot more difficult. Now, don't get me wrong, you can pretty much always, under almost any circumstance, still succeed with enough planning and scheduling and prioritization of your time and energy. If it's that important to you, you can make it happen, but one of the biggest struggles people have is feeling like, well, things are hectic, I can't handle it now, and then it just turns into this nothing, like I'm not gonna do anything until I can give 100%, and the problem is your life is never gonna be in a position where you're always gonna be able to get 100%. There's always gonna be challenges, you're always gonna get knocked down, so it's about learning to navigate those ups and downs, be more flexible when necessary, learning when to dial it in when you can, but it's almost like kind of surviving the tough times while continuing to show up, and then thriving during the good times. But I promise you, if you fall into the all or nothing perfectionist mindset, you're never gonna get anywhere. Keep in mind too, you can break up your cuts, right? There's no reason that you have to just keep going all the time. Don't get caught up into, well, I'm not all the way where I wanna be yet, so I just have to keep going. No, you can put a pause on it. You can do extended diet breaks. You can go through a small reverse diet through certain periods and then come back. This is what I do with some clients during the holidays. They wanna have a little extra flexibility, so they'll just diet break through the holidays and then come back afterwards, right? That's always an option. It also depends how much you have to lose, what your goals are. I mean, keep in mind, if you have to lose, 200, 300, 400 pounds or something, well, now we're talking about a much bigger lifestyle change and something that is going to be a big part of your year-round activities. It doesn't mean you can't still go through these breaks and stuff, but we're not talking about just like summer shredding or whatever else, right? So always consider how far you have to go, but don't feel like there's no point if you can't get all the way where you want to be in one shot, and understanding you're going to have to go through different phases. Now, you've heard me talk about the dangers of crash dieting and what it does to your metabolism, and there can be this big fear of I'm not eating enough calories to lose weight. So if you're wondering if that's a thing, and if you're not eating enough to lose weight, then make sure you check out this top video next. Otherwise, I think you'll like this bottom video instead, and I'll see you in one of those other videos.